Today is Tuesday, February 16th. Decky Crypto, how are we?
We're living the dream, Andy Mustard. I didn't realize mustard was a new flavor for you, but you're looking like a snack yet again.
Hey, I appreciate that. We got a big episode today, man. Chopping out some pop culture, something that we rarely do. We rarely jump on trends. We just usually have a guest on and, stick to back pocket corporate things. But, stocks are a big talk right now. So we decided to jump on that train.
Yeah, we're definitely. I love how you just said we're heading into pop culture when we're talking about stocks, because like this is the first time ever where stocks are actually pop culture, or a part of pop culture with the recent GameStop news and with Robinhood and everything else going on. And I think you and I both hands raised, like not stonks or portfolio guys to begin with. Can we say that?
We can absolutely say that. I think the only person we've talked to about stocks was, remember the fullback early days, like Matt Berg, I think it was.
Matt Wagner.
Matt Wagner. Yes. I think he has something to do with having a portfolio or whatnot, but I don't know if we've ever talked stocks on the show.
Yeah, we've never talked stocks on the show, but I think to your point, I think we've had a lot of people on the show who have portfolios.
Right. That's a great point.
So something to be said about that. It's always been lingering, I guess, in our back pockets. But yes, you're right. We are not personally stonks guys, and but what we're trying to do here with the recent normalization and popularity of the stonks is to kind of just get an idea of like what they are, how can we utilize them, how do we start a portfolio, is crypto worth it, all these different random questions. We want to kind of draw out some answers. So I think, yeah, to your point, this is a very I wouldn't say it's a different podcast, but it still applies to, hey, we're trying to provide something for your back pocket, which is what is crypto and what's the importance of having a stocks portfolio.
Exactly. Like, you're going to walk away from this podcast and you're probably going to be talking to every single person saying, "Hey, I'm a venture capitalist now. My expertise is through the roof. You need advice, you talk to me." Like, this is, you're coming in at the same level as us, just knuckleheads, no knowledge whatsoever, but you're going to walk away feeling like you're on the top of the world. You're going to be ready to be a venture capitalist.
Yeah, I think, and I also want to say there's probably a bunch of people listening right now, millions of people listening right now that probably know a lot more about stocks than we do. And for us to even start talking about it and what we're in our language is probably even hysterical to begin with. But bear with us. So, yeah, we're going to have our good old buddy, Devin Winter, join the show. Kids, what's the name of his? Is it Sixth Floor something? You got to help me out with
what the Sixth Floor.
The Sixth Floor. Okay, and what is it exactly?
He got together a bunch of guys and gals that are looking to gain more knowledge in stocks, and it's a community where people, it's a single platform where people hop on and chat about how to improve your portfolio. And Devin is the founder of it. He's the lead, and you can apply going to his Instagram, the Sixth Floor. And if you want to be a part of this community where people are helping each other out, trying to figure out, small wins, big wins, and everything in between. If you're a rookie, if you're a savvy vet, you want to be a part of this crew because they're just capturing what's happening, and it's open communication. No, everyone's trying to help each other out.
Right, exactly. So yeah, we're gonna have him on the show today to kind of discuss and get as much information for our back pockets as possible. What's going to be fun about this episode that also makes it unique is we're returning to something that we haven't done in quite a while, which is record content with Andrew and I after the interview. So stick around after the interview for a little back end show between Andrew and myself, reflecting on the interview itself, diving into a little bit more stonks territory. I'm wearing this hat for a reason. All people who have good portfolios usually wear one of these hats. I think it just makes me look a little bit smarter about money. Who's to say?
Yeah, I mean, stick around to the back end show. We always welcome our marketing interns to the back end show. Those are the grinders. Those are the people that are sticking true to us, and we're happy about all the marketing interns that make it to the back end show. But before we get to our guest with Devin Winter, I want to continue to let you guys know we are a podcast production company.
Good point.
If you're looking for your podcast to be scaled, you come to us. We have been doing it now for 4 years. February 14th, 2017 was when we launched this podcast. It is now 4 years later and 2 days. It's an incredible achievement in itself, but through that 4 years, we've just gained some sweet knowledge to help you do what you want to do and scale your voice.
Yeah. Wait, is this podcast going to be released on the 16th?
Yes.
Wow. Sick. Happy birthday brag to myself. We also should probably touch on that on the back end stuff.
Hey, happy birthday, dude.
Hey, thanks, dude. Holy
That's
shit.
too funny. And we also want to let you guys know about the Date Night podcast.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll take that. So Date Night podcast, we've done now 5 or 6 of them. We finally kicked it back off with all the COVID restrictions. But we are back live at First Draft in Minneapolis. Be on the lookout. Follow at the _ DNP. That stands for Date Night Podcast. Hit us up if you want to join. It essentially is a recording a podcast with a significant other, a date, or going in blind. We're going to try something new here with our newest revision called the Kings and Queens. We will be booking specific people as a king or as a queen for people to speed date with those people. You want to fill in on more detail on that, Andy?
Yeah. So if you're a king and you're a straight king, we'll line up 3 girls for you. And it's going to be a speed dating round, 15, 20 minutes. We're going to have it sweet formula behind it. And the king at the end will ask one of the ladies to come back on and ask them for a second date. But hey, don't be ashamed if you don't get picked, because if you put on a show and you don't get picked, we'll have you back on as a queen and line you up with 3 guys. So fill out the entry, go to the DNP, the _ DNP Instagram handle, and the link's in the bio for you to sign up. We're stoked about it, and we're literally building the next Bachelor here in Minneapolis, which is the dopest thing. There's a lot of buzz happening.
Yes, it's definitely one of our more unique ideas we've come up with in terms of a podcast and an experience, and we're just excited to freaking launch this thing, and we're getting better each week. I think the content has climbed each week, and now this idea with the Kings and Queens, I cannot wait. So be on the lookout of who these potential kings or queens will be, and if you want to go on dates with them, you can book or sign up, nominate yourself or someone else to go on the show in the link of this very podcast.
Hey, that's enough about us. I say we trap the puck, and let's transition to our man Devin Winter coming on the show to talk about crypto and stonks. All right, Devin, how are you, man? We got the owner and founder of Into Motion Media and 6-4 Trading. How are you, man?
Doing good. Out here in Tulum for the week, just kicking it. Working out here for the week, but super grateful to kind of hop on the podcast tonight. I'm a huge fan of everything that you guys do, so I'm just pumped to be here.
Sweet, dude. It was a pleasure meeting you when we were actually on the formerly named Evernorth podcast with your roommate Austin. I was just blown away by all your work in video and photography, and also your LinkedIn game was strong in all of 2020. So I just got to give you some credit there.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've fallen off on LinkedIn recently. I used to post on there like twice a day and drive so many leads through there. But honestly, I've had so many leads now that I kind of ran out of time to put as much effort into LinkedIn, but still a huge fan, very bullish on LinkedIn.
That's incredible, man. LinkedIn is a funny game. I mean, you have to be a little bit different because everyone's so cookie cutter on there that if you just like present yourself through with personality, man, you stand out. And you're exactly right. Like leads come in. Declan is also just hammers the LinkedIn posts, and nothing that he posts truly belongs on that platform. So it always like catches in the algorithm and goes viral, which cracks me up.
Yeah. No, that's what you have to do on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is so way too corporate, and everything looks the same, honestly. And everyone just goes on there and we see 50 auto sent messages and then a ton of BS posts of people lying about shit. So like when you post some like real stuff or some real life stuff on there, people like that. So I kind of went the same route as Declan on LinkedIn and just started posting like normal shit, like my actual life, not just trying to sell people stuff. You know what I mean? So, and that's not even
until you got a promotion, right? Like that's all you see on there. I got promoted. Absolutely. And I'm trying to sell you something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I also gotta commend you, man. I mean, if if you don't need to be on LinkedIn anymore to generate leads because you have too many leads, it sounds like you're doing something right. I also want to highlight the fact that you didn't go to college, right? You kind of went right into the video creation and you went into like the video creation game right away, correct? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd love.
yeah. So,
Cool.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'd just love
Sorry,
to
there's
hear
a
more about that.
slight
Kind of
delay.
give our listeners or marketing interns some background on just kind of your come up here and what leads you here today.
Definitely, yeah. So I started into motion in high school, actually, like my senior year in high school. Um, and I was just grinding away at that, working as hard as I could. It blows my mind. At that time, I had to put in, weeks and weeks of hard work, trying nonstop just to land one client at the time. And I actually went to college. I went to community college right out of high school, and I lasted about 2 months in there, and it was not for me at all. So I dropped out and I decided to just go all in on what I was doing. And within about 8 months, I took the leap and moved down to Minneapolis. I'm from a small town, very small town, Becker, Minnesota. It's like an hour and a half north of the Twin Cities there. And at the time, I was maybe making like $800 a month with video stuff. And for some reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to move down to Minneapolis and do an apartment that costs like $1,200 a month. I saved up like 1 month's worth of expenses. And I was like, if I can't figure out a way to pay next month's expenses with video, I'm going to have to do DoorDash or Uber Eats or something. So I basically I put my back against the wall, and then I forced myself into a position where I have to create connections and drive leads somehow and really put myself out there to try to find clients in order to not work at Uber Eats, right? So like that was kind of the deal when I moved down. I'm like, I have 1 month's worth or else I have to go get this job. So
What was that like early days, putting all that pressure on yourself? Like, how were you feeling? Was it as straightforward as you made it sound? Like you just held yourself accountable and did your work and then the leads started coming in, or what was that process like?
yeah, so honestly, I'm a people person. Like I love meeting new people. That's what brings me energy. That's what excites me. So when I first moved down here, I literally went to like I knew no one down here. I moved down here alone. I literally knew zero people down here. And I went to every single event in Minneapolis. I went online. I'm like, what's going on in this city? Like what's happening here? And I went to all these different events and these get-togethers. And I just started meeting people, to be honest. And when I would meet these people, I would just like be super intrigued in what they were doing because I mean, I was young, I'm still young, and I'm super curious about what people are up to. And I would just dive into what it was they're doing. And in my head, I'm always like, I'm a problem solver. I love solving problems. So if I was talking to someone that like owned a business and they're maybe like bringing something up where they're dealing with this problem on a regular basis, like a specific problem, or they're struggling with something within their business, my head instantly like starts finding solutions for that problem. And I would on the spot at these different events, they'd like bring something up to me and I'd be like, oh, we could do this, we could do that, we could create this video and this video and this video and this video. And that could solve that problem, save you a ton of time and money. And at the end of the day, it's going to be great for both of us. And I would go into these events, not even necessarily trying to do that, but that's just what I'm good at. And it's what I enjoy to do. And it just worked out. It worked out really quick. I ended up landing a pretty big retainer client that first month I moved down to the cities.
Love it, man. Congrats on that. And it sounds like you're a salesman. Sounds like maybe you wouldn't go into Uber Eats if your back's up against the wall. I'd throw you into medical sales right away. I think you could sell the shit out of some good medical supplies. Yeah, I'll give you a shot at any. I'll let you sell anything for me, man. But that's cool, man. I sense a very similar, something very similar in myself in terms of just like when you're listening to someone talk and you're truly listening and hearing what they're saying. Like that's where my brain also turns and burns. Like, what kind of things can I help them with? What kind of value can I bring to the table? All these different ideas of just like value add and trying to make these people feel like, hey, they're doing something important and there's more to what they do than what even they're saying right now. So totally commend you on all of that stuff, man. One question that we typically ask at the end, but I think this always this kind of factors in now is like, you're sitting there before you got that first big client after the month, and you move into North Loop, Minneapolis, and your back's up against the wall. What is in your back pocket to kind of come out on top when you're in these high pressure, high anxious, high anxiety situations? What kind of mental attribute or something quirky that you rely on in yourself to come out with a win?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the one thing that's always in my back pocket, and it's been in my back pocket since day one, is resilience and competitiveness. Like I will work as hard as I possibly can. I will not quit. I'll work from early mornings to late at night, and I'll put in whatever I have to do to not fail. Like I just refuse, because I always have a fear, right? I always have a fear of failing at something and then looking back and being like, I didn't give it my all at that, right? Like it's fine to fail at things, but it's not fine to fail at things and not give it your all towards that thing. So I always have the fear of failing and then looking back and being like, I did not give it my all at this, because at the end of the day, then you'll never know what would really happen if you did give it your all at that one thing. And then also, I'm just crazy competitive. Everyone that knows me personally knows this, but I love competition and I love to win. So if I see other people doing things out there, I see competitors of mine doing this or that, I'm hungry. That makes me hungry. I love to just go out there and win. And I love competition. So that definitely helps with the resilience side of things. So
That's phenomenal, dude. Stay resilient and stay on the path, because, the obstacle is the way, is what we like to say, and just a million miles an hour through that obstacle. Oh man, that fires me up, Devin. What are some of the clients, like right off the bat, that, like, say someone's listening to this podcast right now, what are the clients that you love working with, that you find that you draw inspiration from, and it's like smooth sailing right away, and it's easy for you to, plug in place and use your creativity?
yeah. So I've worked with about 110 different companies now since I started this my senior year in high school. So it's been about 4 years now. And I will say there's no specific company that I really where it stands out and like I enjoy working with this industry or this type of company. It's more the type of content that we're creating. And the thing that fires me up and the thing where I get excited about is creating like solution based content for businesses, a lot of times in the digital marketing space. So like businesses that are with the times, as you would say, right? Like they're running tons of Facebook ads, digital marketing as a whole, and I can go in and solve different problems they're dealing with. Maybe their conversion rate's garbage, maybe it's even an internal problem, or really any problem. But I love building out campaigns where we can do a 1 to 2 day shoot for this client, and we're going to come out of it with a whole wheelbarrow full of content that they're going to be able to use for the next month, 2 months, 3 months. And I just find way more value in that than doing one shoot and getting one video, right? One shoot, one video. And like my whole mission is to make video easy to incorporate into marketing, right? Like when I first started this, I was asking my clients, I'm like, why don't you guys do more video? The ROI is there, this stuff works. Why aren't you doing more of it? And the answer was always, it's hard to incorporate. Like it's pain in the ass to incorporate into our marketing plan. They were like, it's not convenient. It takes so much of our time of the people that work for us internally. And it's just not, there's no simple way to do it. So when I started hearing this problem over and over again, I knew that was what I was out to solve. So I put together a very solid system and process in which I work with my clients. And because of this, I'm able to work with my clients way more often because we're more efficient. We don't waste their time. I'm able to bring on more clients because it's more efficient for my time. And I'm able to charge more for what I do because I am not stealing my clients' time and wasting their time, because it saves them time. A lot of time, my clients, their time is very valuable. So if I can figure out a way for them to buy back their time, like that's priceless, right? So
Genius way of looking at it is maximizing the quality of your performance and the quality of what you're providing to then turn and burn that for a higher price, because time is and then relating that to time is money. I think the fact that you've already figured that out as a spry young 22-year-old, it's freaking amazing, dude. Like I really commend you on all that. Where I want to go with this now is understanding like, okay, now we know Devin, the video creator, but who is Devin as the Stonks professional, or the guy who's bringing together a greater community to understand portfolio stonks, not stocks, stonks. Everyone knows that. But I would love to hear all about stonks, dude. And I would just love to hear more about your company and your creation around the community. That I don't know what, like, I just dive in. I'd love to hear more about it, man.
All right. So as far as the stock trading and investing side of things, it's actually a pretty crazy story of how I got into it. I was 17 years old and I was watching YouTube one day, and one of these dudes on YouTube I was watching, he collabed with this guy named Ricky Gutierrez, who's like a stock trader. He makes a ton of YouTube videos, kind of educating people around the stock market and stuff. And this guy had like, I don't know, it was maybe like $5,000 cash. And the guy I was watching was like, yeah, this guy trades stocks and like resells cars and like does all this crazy stuff. And I was like, stocks? I'm like, what is that? I'm like, what is that? I'm like, I feel like I've maybe heard of that. I've watched and like some other investing movies and stuff. And I was like, what is, like, honestly, what is this stuff? And there on out, I dove into literally every single one of this dude's videos, and like was doing all I could to learn about like this new thing, right? So from there on out, I watched maybe like 6 to 8 hours of YouTube videos a day about the stock market. And keep in mind, I was 17. I couldn't even legally buy a stock yet. Like I couldn't even buy a stock without signing up for a brokerage account under like my parents' permission. So this was about 3 months before my 18th birthday. Fast forward to my 18th birthday, I stayed up till midnight the night before my birthday, set up my brokerage account, went to bed, woke up the next morning, was buying stocks in class in high school. I was so obsessed with it. I was diving into it. I was like, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. I was buying and selling in like wood tech class and English class. I remember the first day I came out of high school and made like $80 on a Tesla trade. And I was like, let's go. I just made $80 in school. Like it was mind blowing to me. And from there, I had a few winning days and I lost money for the next like 5 months. And just like blew my account pretty much down to nothing, right? And this happens to, I'm sure, a lot of people watching the show who have gotten into day trading stuff. Like it happens. Like you got to pay your tuition, is what I always say. So from there, I basically quit for like 4 or 5 months, and I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm taking a break. I just need some time off. Like this is stressful. I lost all my money. I saved up some money, funded my brokerage account around my 19th birthday, and I'm like, I'm going all in on this. And I purchased some education. I started doing everything I could to learn about the stock market. Again, diving in. That's the one thing with the stock market is you have to always be learning. You have to always pay attention because it's always changing. Refund, haven't really missed a market set. I just it's been super fascinating. Again, like when I started back up, I was still losing money. That's the thing. Like it takes years and years to build a skill. And that's not something I realized early on. I think when I first got started, I literally thought within 6 months I was going to be a millionaire. And I think that's what a lot of people think, especially with like things like GameStop, AMC, and all these, and Dogecoin, all this hype stuff going on. People love the idea of making quick money. People don't even like the idea of making a lot of money. They love the idea of making a lot of money quickly. So when they see this stuff, they get very interested into it. And that's honestly why I was interested in it as well. But the problem is most people, they get into it, then they fail very quickly. And honestly, they quit within a few weeks when they lose a little money. The fail rate with trading is actually about 95 to 98% of day traders fail. And this strictly comes down to people don't like have the ability to like push through these hard times and continue on with it, and they just get over it so quickly. Like they lose a little money in 1 week and they're like, okay, I'm done with this, like I'm over it. So I lost money for years. Like honestly, it took a long time for me to be consistently profitable. But when I was first 2 to 3 years, keep in mind I'm about almost 4 years in now, but the first like 2 years for sure, I would sit every single night for 4, 5, or 6 hours and just like just learn about the markets. I was totally obsessed with it and I wanted to be successful at it because I've always loved the idea of finding out ways to make money with money. And I remember looking at these large companies. You see Apple, you see like Starbucks, you see Microsoft, you see these large companies, Amazon, and go back and look 20 years back, 30 years back when your parents or my parents were our age, right? And I'm looking at these stocks back then. I'm like, if they would have just bought in these stocks, they wouldn't even have to work right now. Like they'd be chilling. So I'm like, I saw the power in starting to invest early on because you're getting in at such a good time and you have such a long life ahead of you to allow these stocks to go up in value as long as you pick the right stocks, right? So I became super obsessed with this idea of figuring out ways to make money with money. Also trading, you can do it from anywhere. You just need a computer and you need the skill. So that's how I got into it. And
I'm gonna cut you off here real quick.
It's been one heck of a journey and it's challenging. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and everything you said bums me out a bit because I was expecting to have you on the podcast. I put $100 in Robinhood the other day and I was like, all right, he's going to tell me exactly how to invest and I'm going to make $1,000 overnight.
Dude, I mean, I would love to just be one of those dudes, I guess, that just comes on here and says, hey, I can make you a millionaire overnight. But dude, that's like why, like 6 floor trading, that's why I created 6 floor trading, was because I'm so turned off by that. Like I want to create a place where we can be realistic about it. We can look long term because quick money is scary money. You know what I mean? Like it's scary. Like we have to think with trading or with anything, you have to think 10 years down the road. You have to do stuff today that may not pay off for a few years, but you know it's going to be worth it in those few years. Whenever you think something's going to happen overnight or within a week or within even a month, that's when you're going to start making mistakes and you're going to treat the market like it's a casino, and it's not a casino. It can be a casino if you play it like that, but at the end of the day, most of the time you're going to lose all your money if you play it like a casino.
Yep, I have a personal experience with the casino of Stonks. When I started a portfolio right when I was 18 as well. Got hooked on it early, and I had a good friend of mine whose dad was, millionaire who really knew the trick to the trade and had all these brokers working for him, and he kind of took me under his wing and got me fired up about it. So I got to look at some of his portfolios of just kind of how his investors were working, and I started my own little private portfolio. So I invested right away. He told me the same exact thing you did. Like, don't play the game of the casino. Invest in companies that you think are going to do really well. A good way of telling that is like by their dividends each year. If they're offering a 7% dividend, after 7 years, you're going to have 49%, and that's about doubling your money from your original investment. And so I took that and kind of ran with it. But right when I got to college, I started to bite the bullet a little bit, and I played money with cannabis penny stocks. And I lost about half of my portfolio doing that, and I haven't been back since until pretty much just recently with the pop culture, with Stonks popping off all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's scary. I mean, that's the thing is when we almost all get to a point where we take that big hit. But the thing is, it's important to not let that pull you. Like, I don't want to scare anyone away from it, and I don't want people to get scared away from it just because of a loss. So that's where I always step in and I say people need to start with a small account and focus on percentage gain, not dollar gain, or they need to start with paper trading, which is where you trade with fake money. A lot of platforms offer this. I use TD Thinkorswim.
Say that one more time.
Literally trade with fake money, which is amazing because you're not risking any of your money. Paper trading, or say that whole thing one more time.
Yeah. What were the platforms that you use for paper trading?
Yeah, so the platform I use is TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim, and this is a very common platform that a lot of people use, and it's very user friendly once you get it down, and it's also very professional. It's not something like Robinhood where it's very, very gamified and stuff like that. This is a real platform that traders use on a daily basis. So
That's a really good point you make though about like paper trading. I think the idea of learning for long term, I think is a good phrase that we can kind of stick with and understand that like, this is a portfolio that's going to follow you for the rest of your life. When people talk about, penny trading or even Bitcoin now, I like the idea of Bitcoin specific or Bitcoin or any kind of crypto for the idea that it's a different type of portfolio that has monetary value tied to it. It's a crazy Wild West game. The value of it is tied to everybody who's involved. I That's about all I know about it. But before we get into that, I want to just talk specifically about portfolios. So, as people kind of our age who are probably getting hit up by the people from Northwestern Mutual or all these different financial advisors, like the first thing they want to do is, hey, let's start a portfolio and let's start investing. When we talk about making money in the stock market or making money and percentage increase on your portfolio, we're talking about money, but then we're talking about, okay, what do you do with the money? And then at the end of the day, like when we make this money or when we have a percent increase in our portfolio, like when do we take it out, and when do we actually employ this type of gain in our own life? So I would like to kind of hear maybe your experience with pulling money out of your portfolio or utilizing the money in your portfolio, and kind of maybe industry standards or maybe typical ways people use their money after making money in the stock market.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So first thing I recommend to kind of everyone watching this is starting something called like a Roth IRA. And these are great for, you can put up to, I think it's like $7,500 a year into this. And there's huge tax benefits to it. And you don't have to pay, I'm pretty sure you don't have to pay short-term gains tax in it as well. So you can sell at any point and not have to worry about that short-term gains tax. So I highly recommend everyone starts a Roth IRA. And this is something you only put money into. And you can pull the money out, but I wouldn't recommend it. This is something you put money into every single month or every single year, and you don't take it out till you're retired. And then as far as like trading for an income, I personally, one thing I really like to do because I love the market is, so I have many different styles of trading. I day trade, which is where, so let me break down like the different styles of trading for everyone. So there is scalping. Scalping is where you're in and out of a trade within minutes. You're in and out super quick. This is something I do every single morning. Then you have day trading. This is where you buy and sell a stock within the same 24-hour period, the same day. You have swing trading. This is where you maybe hold a stock overnight or a few weeks or even a few months, right? And then you have long-term investing. This is where you're buying the company to truly invest into that company and hold it long term for a very long time. Maybe this company's paying out dividends, or maybe you're just looking to build your net worth within this asset, right? So what I love to do is I like to day trade and scalp in the mornings and possibly even swing trade. And then I like to take a good portion of my profits from doing that and putting it right into other assets, long-term investments. So if you can make a good living off of like day trading and scalping, and you learn how to build that skill, instead of going out and spending that money on dumb stuff, I'd rather just put it into like other investments that's going to pay off in the long term. So that way, when I'm old, I don't have to day trade and I have a large portfolio that I can just focus on long term, right? So the one thing to remember with day trading is you have to pay short-term gains tax, and there's quite a bit of tax when it comes to day trading. This is something a lot of people that are just getting into it don't know. I don't really want to touch on the tax side of things. I would just say, if you are making a lot of money with day trading and you haven't, say like you're just getting into it and you're already doing really well and you haven't talked to an accountant already, I highly recommend doing that, because you have to learn about how much you have to put aside for taxes. So that way you don't get screwed at the end of the year, right? So, but at the end of the day, you pay yourself just as you would always, as if it was like a normal business, right? Some months they're going to be great months. Some months you might lose money, and some months you might just be mediocre, right? So a lot of people, what they do is say they have a $25,000 account and that's what they day trade with. They'll pull out whatever the profits were at the end of the month. So say you grow it to 50K, you pull out 25,000 and put it into your bank account. say you grow it to 35K, you pull out 10,000 and put in your bank account. And this just allows you to start fresh every single month. And it's a really good headspace to kind of get into. And you're like, all right, every month that's a new start, right? Let's just make this month even better than the last month. Also, you're not risking that money that you now took out. That's off the table. That's in your bank account. That's now yours. So,
Man, dude, you're a wizard. And I mean, this is phenomenal. I'm so happy you're coming on to our show to talk about this because how old are you? 22?
21.
You're 21 years old and you have put the time in to give like high quality advice and reasonable things for people similar to us, because this is our market. We are a podcast of people in their early 20s, mid 30s, and people that are just trying to figure it out. And you are doing it every day and very relatable. And this is phenomenal. Like we could have had on like a big wig that has, made millions off the stock market, but that's not going to give us tangible advice. That's not going to give us things that we feel like we can implement because they're so far removed. And that's what fires me up most about this podcast is we're bringing on people every day or week after week that are sitting in our shoes. And Devin, kudos to you, man. Way to put in the work.
Appreciate it.
And you've taken this knowledge and you've started to create your own community around it, which I think is even more reason to give you mad props. You've started Sixth Floor Trading very recently, like at this turn of the calendar, to help before really Stonks and crypto really like took over with GameStop and all this crap. Where people are now just pounding advice. You were like 6 weeks ahead of this, which is even cooler. What was this process like, and where did you draw the inspiration to start a community of people that help each other out and learn from each other inside the stock market?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I've always been turned off by like the guru, like, posting ads sitting on the roof of his Lamborghini, like with a handful of cash, right? Like I've always been very turned off by that. And essentially like what I want to do is create things that I wish existed, right? Like I want to go out and I want to find things that I wish existed and I want to go and create them. Like that's what fires me up. And that's what I want to do my entire life. And it was about May of 2020. And my friend Colton, I gotta give a shout out to Colton. He reached out to me and he's like, dude, you should start like a little chat room just for a few of us that trade in the stock market where we can kind of get together every morning, talk about what we're watching for the day, talk about what we're looking to invest in, give our reasoning behind that investing or that investment, and just kind of help each other out throughout this journey. And he's like, that'd be super cool. We can just have a few of us in there. He's like, I know 2 people. I'm like, I know 3 people, and we'll have like a chat of like 6 people in here, right? I'm like, that's perfect. So I start up like this little Discord chat, and there's like 6 or 7 of us in it, like literally no one. And we traded every single day that summer together. We just woke up every single morning, we traded together, hopped in the boys chat, hung out, and it was a lot of fun, to be honest, because it was friends of mine, as people that are close to me, as people, a lot of people live in Minneapolis. And it was fun to like hop in with these people and just like talk about, like nerd out about the stock market. It's hard to find people that have that similar interest. Like it's crazy to see where the stock market is at now. And it's like this cool thing because like even a year ago, and especially 4 years ago when I got started, it was not like it was like pretty lame, right? So it's cool to see where it's come for sure. But like we traded every single day throughout that summer, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm like, why don't I just open this up to my Instagram, just see who hops in. I'm like, well, maybe get like 5 or 10 people that kind of hop in here, right? And like it'll be fun. And I'm like, we'll just open it up. So I basically like posted a story like, who wants to hop in this chat? Like, who wants to learn about the stock market and start investing? I started this a few months ago. It's been fun, and just looking for a few people who maybe have an interest in this, looking maybe like grow a little community. So I opened it up. It wasn't even called Sixth Floor at this time. It wasn't called any under my name or whatever. And I opened it up, and within like a day or a day and a half, had like 110 people in there. Whoa, people are actually interested about this stuff and want to learn more about this. So from there, I'm like, oh, this could actually like maybe be something, right? Like this is one of those ideas where I didn't I didn't start it because I wanted to make money from it, or I wanted to like do really anything with it. I just started because me and like 4 friends wanted to talk about stocks every morning. Like, it was super simple, right? So when I opened it up and I saw how many people hopped in, I was like, whoa, this could be something. Instantly closed the group down. I'm like, okay, let's just cap it at this. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna hire. So I instantly hit someone up to brand it, paid them to name it, hit up a copywriter to start working on sales copy for emails, hit up Austin to start working on the website, all the back end development stuff, the payment processing, all that. And I'm like, let's create a brand out of this. Let's create a community out of this, and let's make something like really dope, right? So I promised everyone it would take a month. I'm like, 1 month, we're gonna launch this. I'm like, give us 1 month. I'm like, we're getting the branding. I paid people like more money to get things done faster. And I'm like, let's do this in a month. I'm like, we're gonna make this happen. Month comes around, we're not even close. Like, we're not even close to launching. Like not, keep in mind, this is back in September. This is back in September. And I'm like, and Into Motion was like going crazy at this time. Like, our best month ever was August. Second best month ever was September. And our third best month ever was October. So like crazy busy with that on top of everything. So I was working my ass off to try to get this thing launched, because everyone in the chat's like, when do you open it back up? My friends want to get in. My family wants to get, like, I know all these people that want to get in. When's it going to open back up? And I'm like, soon. It's opening up back soon. Fast forward, we launched January 1st and it went crazy. Essentially what happened was I built a waiting list up until January 1st, just through Instagram and the other platforms. I built this waiting list of people that wanted to be a part of it. And actually, a crazy story, I'll tell it on the launch day. It was New Year's Day, and we had this waiting list, and I had my copywriter, Meg, shout out Meg, she's an amazing copywriter, write sales copy for my emails. And we had this big campaign plan for like this launch. And we also, the week of Christmas, we spent an entire night filming a launch video that we weren't going to film until the day before. And I'm like, I feel like we need this. I'm like, for some reason, I like this gut feeling. I'm like, we need this video. We need a video to launch this thing. I wasn't going to do one because we were running low on time. We whipped together this video and then launched it on January 1st. The email, I was in Arizona. I was in Scottsdale, Arizona for the New Year's weekend, just hanging low, hanging out with some friends, and just to kind of get away for the launch. Woke up New Year's Day, went to my email where all the applications roll in for the chat room. We have an application process to get people in. That way we can just kind of like make sure everyone's invested into it and really wants to be a part of it. And I go to see how many applications we have, and there was like 2. And I was like, my heart sank. I was like, oh my gosh, this flopped. Like, this whole 6th floor thing, I'm like, this thing just flopped. I'm like, what just happened here? Like, I thought I had this all hyped up. I thought I had like this amazing idea. I'm like, I wake up this morning, there's like 2 applications in. I'm like, what? And then I realized no one checks their email on New Year's Day. Everyone's hungover the night before. Like, no one, everyone's like sleeping in. Like, no one checks their email on New Year's Day. I was like, there's no point in that waiting list. Like, there's 0 point in that. So I quickly was like, I need to post this video because this thing's going to go crazy. And I put a lot of work into this video. We used a ton of like dope footage from like Wolf of Wall Street, The Big Short, like these crazy movies that everyone knows. And then we used our own footage that we filmed on Christmas, like a few days before, it was like a day after Christmas. And we whipped together this video, and I posted it at 10 a.m. that morning, and it started going crazy. Like, I think within 4, 5, 6 hours, we had the Instagram page for 6th Floor only had, 80 followers on it. Within like 6 hours, I think 60 people reposted on their story, and everyone was just sharing around everywhere, sending it to their friends, their family. And by the end of the day, I had over 100 applications and people trying to get into the chat room. So went from 2 from the waiting list to over 100 applications by the end of the day. And it was like honestly no better feeling just seeing those roll in, because like this is something I'm very passionate about, and I want to build this community. So when you see something that you've been working at for so long, months and months on end, and putting like everything you have into it, simply because you want to create a place for people to come together and work towards this similar goal, and then you see it like almost fail like that, your heart drops. So when I posted the video and saw it start to work, I honestly started crying. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy that this is working. It's finally coming together. People are loving it. People are enjoying it. And then on top of that, see people come in and like join the community. And then to see on top of that, people making money and like seeing results, and it just all comes on to me. And I'm like, wow, this is why I do this, right? Like at the end of the day, if you want to accelerate the growth or the process of which you learn a new skill, if you want to accelerate that process of learning a new skill, you need to have a community to do it with. Because at the end of the day, you learn, the two ways you learn are from learning yourself and fucking up all on your own and like losing money, or you learn from other people's mistakes. So with the community, we come together, and if someone makes a mistake, we put in the chat, hey, I messed up on this trade. This is what went wrong. This is what I did wrong. This is what I should have looked out for. And then instead of me going and making that mistake on my own, I learned from that person's mistake and I put that towards my future trades. So we all come together with the same goal to be successful investors and traders, and not only investors and traders, but also entrepreneurs in there. We have everyone in there is an entrepreneur. It's crazy. It blows my mind to see these people's work ethic in there. Like they go so hard. It's super inspiring. But to see these people get results just inspires me every single day. And to see the community actually form. Like, I don't want to be the person at the top that's like handing down information and like helping everyone make money. I want to create a safe place for people to come together and all see success together, right? Like if someone asks a question in the chat, before I can even get to it, there's 5 other people that answered it for them. Like that's what a community is. A community isn't me like putting everything together for everyone. A community is everyone coming together and doing it together. So that's like the whole mission with Sixth Floor, and that's what's been so fun about it. And it's honestly, it's been a blast.
Love that, man. And I love that you finished this hero's journey of Sixth Floor with community. Because, we relate to that heavily as building this community of Backpocket for the last 4 years. And I think not only is it great to hear, the feedback and the support, but the failures and the ups and downs that we all experience together. And I think there is something to be said about that kind of tribal aspect, and that like intuition and natural trust that kind of gets built. And there's nothing cooler than building those aspects through something that you just simply give a shit about, and something that you did off of the whim of yourself and your buddies in a Discord chat in May. I just think that's super cool, man. And I think that's the kind of stuff that's going to scale and really be important in the next 10, 20 years. And you hit it at the perfect time. I mean, there wasn't anything about this story that we're talking now like, oh man, like you kind of got fucked over or whatever. It's like, no, you just went for a whim, and the timing kind of just played in your hand. Like the stock market could have crashed 2 days ago, and I still think the emotions around the community still would have been incredible. So kudos to you, man. I think it's just incredible. I know Andrew's got all kinds of giddiness over there. He's trying to say something.
Yeah, I'm in awe of how you went about the process, from doing it with your friends and making, like, it was a passion. It's been a passion of yours since you were 17 years old, and you failed in it and you struggled with it, but you gave up on it at one point, but then you came back to it. And then you drew some friends around it that had similar stories, and you the 4 of you, or however many it was, were seeing some success together, and you decided to help other people, and you invested your own money into creating this brand, and trusted that the work behind the scenes is going to ultimately bring together the community at whole. And then all the work gets put in, and you launch it, and you realize, oh wait, fuck, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if people are actually interested. They were, but now that it's actually a real thing, maybe it's too intimidating or whatnot. You let the pieces fall into place. You're sitting here 2 months into the project and of the official launch, and I follow you on Instagram all the time. I see the people winning, the people you screenshot and you post it on the Instagram stories. And all of my like all the good friends are in it, like Kofi, Brandon Polizuk, guys like that. Like these are my good friends, and I'm seeing them win. You're helping these guys scale. I just sent in my application like February 2nd. I don't know if you're taking someone who knows zilch about any of this. Very dumb brained when it comes to the stocks, but I'm blown away and I'm fired up for you, dude. You made a name for yourself, creating video with Into Motion, and you don't settle. Your resilience and competitiveness has like you say that, but rarely do people follow that up, right? Those are buzzwords: resiliency, tenacity, fucking grit. All that shit are buzzwords, but you just walked us through a 10-minute story over the last 6 months of how you truly are a competitive motherfucker. And I love it, Devin. I love it.
I love it, man. Yeah. Yeah. And that's not like 100%. I want to back it up to, I really appreciate all that. And I want to back it up. Like, we'll get you into the chat 100%. We'll get both of you in the chat. And the chat is for everyone. We have people like, you'll see me post profits. We have a member that had a $9,000 day the other day. Like, that's a big day, right? And then we have people that haven't even bought their first stock yet. Like, they're just interested in this stuff and they're ready to work hard. We just want people who are dedicated, ready to put in the work, and they're willing to think long-term with it. We don't care where they're at in their journey, but those are the 3 traits that we want. And that's where we really look. Like, you went through the application process and everything like that. Like, we're just looking for people that fit those 3 characteristics, because that's what we want in there. And that's what 6-4 is all about. We're not looking for people that want a quick buck. We want people that want to be wealthy when they're 80 or when they're 30, or depends what age you're at. We want people that want to be wealthy in 10 years. And they're willing to put in the work now to see the results then.
Love that. And I think that's speaking on that long-term aspect, and then also kind of looking at it as through the lens of like the whole 40-hour work week, work till you're 59 and a half and retire. I feel like, we had Famous Dave on this podcast 2 years ago, and he said back then even that work, the 40-hour work week and retirement were industrial age concepts that won't be around anymore going forward when we become that age. So this idea of the 401k and the Roth Ira and life insurance and all these long-term things where you just dump money into, they're great. And I love that for the aspect of having wealth at the end of the time. But how do you evaluate your portfolio, or how have you been attacking your portfolios, I should say, with the idea of, hey, our lifestyle and our work balance and how we think about using our money, or when we should be using our money, is going to be changing, or already has changed in our current day.
So how do I think investing as a whole has changed over the past?
How are we supposed to look at that? I mean, like, we're talking about long-term growth, but like, we're also not talking about saving, like investing all our money right now just so that we could use it when we retire at 60. Like, I personally think about Tim Ferriss's idea of the mini retirements and how he takes whenever he kind of vibes it out. He talks about this in the 4-hour work week, and how there's a value to kind of using some of the assets that you have while you're still young and dumb, or while you're still tenacious as a 30-year-old. So I would just like to see if you had any inklings or have ever thought about that kind of stuff in the lens through your investing.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a really good question, because at the end of the day, like, it is important that we take our money and we invest it and we put it into assets and put it into things that are going to grow. But we're young. We need to live a little bit as well. We need to celebrate the wins. We need to go out and we need to spend some of these rewards. Like, we need to spend this money that we put all the hard work in for. So knowing when to do that, that's really up to each individual. And I think it's different for each individual. For me though, like, I think the thing is with investing is it becomes addicting. Like, to put your money aside and to like go look at your portfolio at the end of the day and see that you did absolutely nothing to that portfolio, but you made whatever it is, $1,000, $500, $100, whatever it is, addicting, because you're like, oh, I used to have to work at my job all day just to make that. And this portfolio just grew that on its own. So what happens to our minds when we do that is whenever we go out and we're buying something and maybe we're looking at this buying decision, we're like, this might not be the best decision. Our mind instantly goes towards, what if I put that in the stock market? What if I invested that and grew that over time? And that feeling becomes addicting of being able to make money with money. But at the end of the day, we have to reward ourselves. And I think the best way to do this, I love the idea of mini retirements, but what if we did mini retirements for certain milestones, right? So what if you're like, all right, I'm going to start trading. I'm going to start with $10,000. When I can grow this account to whatever it is, set a number, 40K, and I can grow this account to $40,000, I'm going to take a mini retirement for a few months. Like that's the celebration, right? Like I like that aspect with every part of your life. That can be used with every part of your life. If you have a business, if you're investing or trading, whatever you're doing, set these milestones and have that be the reward, because that's what's going to drive you to want to achieve that. Also, I think when it comes to investing, what's changed a lot these days is people are more risky, and people are really just, I think people have become really good at taking advantage of the opportunities that are in front of us, the big opportunities, the big wins. And there's something crazy happening in the market at all times. And as long as you pay attention, you can take advantage of it. If you're paying attention to what's happening, if you're hearing what people are talking about, if you're just paying attention, just watch it. Just go on Twitter and follow people that watch stocks. What are they watching? This past week, it's been weed stocks, right? Everyone's talking about it. Like, as long as you pay attention, you can take advantage of the opportunity. And our chat caught a 300% play this week on SNDL. It's a weed stock. And all that came from was just paying attention and taking advantage of the opportunity. Another big one is crypto, right? Just pay attention to what other people are watching and pay attention to what's happening within the market, and then take action on a plan, and it'll pay off in the long run. But you can't catch these plays if you're not actually paying attention. There's always opportunities out there. Every single week, there's new opportunities. You just have to watch for them.
Right. And I think that was my initial issue with getting into the game, and where it kind of became a casino type thing was I was only paying attention when I wanted to, and I wasn't really valuing the fact that like I had to watch this stock if I was going to invest in these highly volatile markets. So that would be one thing I would suggest to anyone, or a big learning lesson for me that I'd throw in the chats if I was in the Discord chat, would be like exactly echoing what you're saying. Like, back it up with action. If you're gonna invest in a risky, volatile stock, you better be watching it if you don't want to lose money. And I think that's where I personally, at this point in time, it's like, do I even want to invest in the stock market right now? Because I have so many other different things I'm focused on. So maybe I just invest in companies and things that are just not really going to change that much. I'll invest in Amazon, I'll invest in Tesla, I'll invest in all these different ones that I'm confident in that'll stay around. And that's okay, because guess what, at the end of the day, this is a long-term play. This is not the short-term, short win type thing. So I guess what I'm voicing is the fact that there is a different approach for everybody. And there's a different mindset, and it all kind of varies on your lifestyle, your wants, your needs, and what you give a shit about.
Yeah, no, I like that. I want to talk about that a little bit as well, is because one thing people come to me with all the time is they don't have the time to invest, right? If you have zero time, say you have zero time to invest your money, literally zero, here's what I ask you to do. Set up a brokerage account and put any extra money you have into a S&P 500 index fund that follows the market. Easy as that. Never look at it. Never look at it. It'll always go up. It follows the S&P 500. A great one is SPY. It'll average 7 to 8% a year. Some years it'll do 30, like these recent years where it's gone crazy. Some years it'll be a little red. Some years it'll be smaller gains. But at the end of the year, it'll always go up. So there's zero excuse to not invest. It's taking the time to find what style of investing matches your lifestyle. So like, figure out how much time you have every day, figure out what times of the day you're gonna be able to look at the market. And if you have zero time at all, set it up where it automatically funds your account and buys into an S&P 500 index that's gonna grow over time, because banks give you shitty interest. They don't give you good interest at all. They give you what 0.0 whatever percent, basically nothing, right? So take that money that's sitting in your bank account doing nothing but collecting dust, especially when there's money being printed out of thin air now and inflation's about to hit. Like, take that money and invest it so it doesn't lose its value. It's not going to lose its value. Money has consistently lost its value forever. The US dollar has continued to lose its value forever. So take that extra money and put it into an S&P 500 index fund. I ask you all to do that. If you're sitting on a lot of cash, I highly recommend doing that and just not looking at it. It's the safest way to do it. But I'm a huge fan of like imagining the life you want to live and then building backwards from there and then doing the steps you need to get there. And I think that needs to be the same with investing.
Yeah, I feel that. And I mean, it goes from investing your money to investing in your life. Like, I'm just looking at what you're doing right now. You have two different opportunities where you're building a community based around the stock market and the thing you love a ton. And then you have your own business that you've grown since you were in high school. I mean, you're investing in yourself, and now you're sitting here in Tulum as we talk to you with your roommate and a couple buddies, and you're able to just like breathe and realize, hey, I'm fucking accomplishing a lot of things right now, and it's okay if next week some crazy shit happens, because I'll figure it out and you'll move through it. I'm really stoked that we've had the opportunity to sit down here, Devin, because the only time we've had the meeting was in passing after walking out of Austin's podcast. And I follow you on Instagram and I see what you're up to, but hearing your story and hearing the vibrancy of all of what you're after is it's inspiring. And you're sitting here at 21 years old. My younger brother's 21 years old. Declan's younger brother's 20 years old. Like, you're, and I'm like, fuck, dude, what am I doing with my life, type of thing. But we're all here just getting after it late on a Thursday night, unpacking what it's like.
We all have different starting points too.
Yes, coming from different starting points. Exactly. And I want to transition to the back end of our show a little bit and ask you our $1 million question. So through this whole journey and of figuring out what's in front of you, adjusting as necessary, you failed at times and you've learned. What has been an average quality of yours? What is something that you've struggled with at times to and overcome? And at the end of the day, it's an average quality that you're trying to improve at a little bit each day.
Yeah, I would say my average quality is definitely listening. I really enjoy just sitting down with people and learning from them and listening to their stories, to things they've experienced. Like, a lot of my friends, they're much older than me. They're mid 30s to 40s to mid 50s or mid 40s. Like, they're much older than me. A lot of them are double my age. And these guys have crazy stories and they've experienced way more than I have. And I love to just sit down with people and listen to the different things they've experienced within their life, because you can really pull a lot from that. I'm only 21. I have not experienced much within my life. I'm super young yet. I have way more to experience down the road, way more to learn and all of that stuff. So I love just sitting down with people and learning from them and listening to things that listening to different stories they have to tell, whether it's an Uber driver or whether it's a millionaire investor, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, either way, I think we can learn something from every conversation we have. And I think there's a lot of power in listening, though. I think that's definitely a skill set of mine. I do try to get better at it every single day, because at the end of the day, a lot of us unconsciously within our minds, we're thinking about what we're going to say next in many cases, right? Like, we're listening to the person, but we're also thinking about, what can I say next? And I want to say this, I want to say this, I want to say this. But how about we just like take all of it in? Let's listen to them. Let's truly listen to them. And then let's talk, right? Like, then we can say what we need to say. But I think there's a lot of power in that. And I think it's important as well, when we do listen to people, if they are giving us advice, if it is someone who's older and wiser, that we take that and we put it into action, or else we're going to end up making that mistake on our own. So become a master at listening and pull what you want from it, but then put that into action.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I would add on to not only pull it and use it, put it to action, but put it into context of your own life. I think one thing that I noticed, or one of our podcast guests before, he said, advice is great, but understand where it's coming from. David Meltzer actually said this. He said, like, hey, look, my advice comes from my experiences, my wins and my losses. Your wins and your losses and your experiences are totally different. So take it with a grain of salt. how do you take it with a grain of salt? How do you contextualize it? You do exactly what you're saying. You listen, you really hear what they have to say and really understand what he's really getting at. It's not, oh, don't buy this specific stock, or, oh, don't do this with your life because it'll fuck you up. It's like, no, why did it go wrong? Or what was really the crux of what you're saying, and how can I apply that and then put it to action? So I love what you're saying, man. I think you're totally spot on with that. And I really love the thoughtfulness behind the average quality. And it fires me out, man. 100%.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we're sitting here too as podcasters, and the art of our game is listening to what you're saying and trying to think of what we should say next. And I catch myself a million times like thinking, oh wait, what did he just say? Because I thought of a question that I want to ask, but I want you to finish your point. And it's an always practicing art. You read it everywhere, listening. I mean, that is the Stone Age. That's how messages got passed, word of mouth. Listening, and if someone's listening right and they pass the wrong message along, everyone's fucked. So truly appreciate that response, Devin. And then I guess another question we have that's a crux of ours, a core of ours to help us grow our own brand, is vibing off of your community. And we're looking for you to challenge us to have someone else on our show that you think would vibe with what we're saying or would push us to a new extreme, or someone that would be a good friend and you think would have just enjoy the conversation that we uphold.
Yeah. So one person I think would be super cool for you guys to have on is actually a member / like leader within my community at Sixth Floor. His name's Zach. And he manages all of our long-term investment side of things and all the mentorship on that side of things. And this dude is a total like crusher. This dude absolutely kills it. And he's got a really cool story as well. He's someone that built up his career as an investor or trader and built it up very well, but it all came crashing down. And he learned of that. And then he recently started Scratch this year with a $2,000 account, and now has grown it in well less than a year over $30,000, which is crazy percentage gain if you think about it, all with long-term investment stuff. So he's someone I think would be super interesting to have on the podcast to continue the conversation around the stock market and investing, because people are looking for places to learn for that right now. And I think he could bring a whole different viewpoint than what it is I brought to the table on the more long-term side of things. So
love that, man. Definitely. What's his last name? Zach what?
I don't know how to say his last name. I'll send you his page and contact info though if you want to connect with him.
Yeah. You and me both, Devin. I struggle with last names, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard, man. So many to remember.
Yeah. Devin, do people who wear these hats, are they good at stocks? Is this a good look for someone who's trying to make some money in the market?
Yeah, I think if you fitted that with like a fleece Patagonia vest, you'd be ready to go. And I think you'd be on your way to be a billionaire, multi-billionaire hedge fund manager. That paired with being in Sixth Floor, you'd be set. That's all you need, man. That's all you need.
My guy. I think we just need a little bit of a physical appearance and personality, and I'm here to bring that. So if you're happy to have me, I'm willing to join.
We'll get you in, man. I'll get you in tomorrow. I'll get you guys early access, 100%.
Sweet.
Love it, man. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I think we texted you like, hey, can you hop on for 20, 30 minutes? I know we were actually honestly, we were initially intending to only go for 20, 30 minutes. Andrew can back me up on that, but this felt like we were in the studio again, sitting on the floral chairs, like what Andrew's got going on. And I think even with a little bit of spotty Wi-Fi, we still figured it out. And this was a really fun, eye-opening experience, man. I think you're an awesome kid. You're an awesome speaker. You really know how to articulate your thoughts. You got a hell of a story. And I'm kind of excited for us to join the community and see where we go from here, man.
I love it. Yeah. And I just want to, thank you guys for inviting me on and stuff. I'm a huge fan of everything that you guys do and all of your podcasts and who you have on, especially in the community of Minneapolis. It's cool to give people a voice to kind of hop on and share what it is they're all about. I also want to thank a few people as well. I want to thank Austin, Meg, Zach, and Marissa for helping me with the 6-4 launch and getting all of that up, as well as everyone that's supported from the beginning. Also Colton and Joy and Ryan. I need to thank those guys too. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's been fun. I love this stuff. I love just having good conversations, you know.
Amen to that, Devin. Enjoy the rest of your time in Tulum, and when you get back to Minneapolis, let's grab a beer or two.
Let's do it. Sounds good.
Sweet. Loved having you on, brother.
Perfect. Appreciate it, guys.
What's up, dude?
Oh man, I am lost, but I'm also fired up because I mean he pounded us with some great advice, and at the end he ended it with the listening aspect, and I'm like, oh man, I totally botched the listening because when you get into stocks and stuff like that, my head it gives ADD and I start thinking of like what I need to be doing right now or what I'm not doing. And then I'm just thinking about all these things and he's going through this advice and then I'll like, oh fuck, I'm not listening. And then I jump back in and then he's finishing his point. So I'm able to like carry the conversation, but I lose the substance. So I'll have to listen to this shit back.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be a part of 6-4 trading.
Yeah, happy to be a part of it in every regard. But like, dude, that's why we record these so we can listen back and then have the thoughts. Like that's the whole impetus of like listening back and recording it to begin with. So
right.
Dude, hey, guess what, dude? You're an idiot. No, but honestly, that was super fun. I know I alluded to it kind of at the end of the podcast, but like that felt like a Backpocket podcast again all of a sudden.
Right. That felt like OG Backpocket podcast with like Brendan Bliss and like who was our man's trainer down in Florida that was J Rob's friend?
Kean Loggy.
You know, shit like that where we're doing our best to appreciate that there's a lag, nothing we can do about it, but also we want to make them feel like they're in the studio. And that was that. I'm just happy to have an in-depth conversation again. We ran through 3 weeks of call-ins and it's high energy, high paced, good content because you're getting to substance right away, but also hearing someone's story from their come up, like Devin at 17 to only 4 years later to see what he's done. I'm just happy to now have him inside our circle a little bit closer because he's one of those guys that you look down 20 years the line. He's gonna be a big name.
He's kind of the Tesla of 21-year-olds. I think we can go ahead and say that and really throw that out there. Can't wait to post this video and not in a mere 5 years and just be like, yeah, that was him. You know, we had him on the podcast. But yeah, I think even touching more into the podcast itself, like it flowed super well. Kid was so freaking good at talking and stuff. But like at the same time, like the lifeline is the Wi-Fi, obviously. Like as long as we can fucking hear the guy and like somewhat see the guy, like the sky's kind of the limit. And I also think like the intentionality too, like how we kind of knew him going in. He's from Minneapolis. Like there's a lot of different aspects that like really played into why it was so good. Because you mentioned like the Brennan Bliss, who's like he at the time he was an 18-year-old kid from Texas, like never heard or met the kid in our lives, right? But like Devin we knew about and he knew about us, and I think that might be something we pay attention to going forward is like let's reach into those kind of get those like marketing interns basically back on the show, people who know about us in the slightest and have something to say, and we are curious in what they have to say, right? I mean, we came in here with genuine intention to learn about stocks, and I think we got some pretty good headway, and we presented it exactly how I feel our brand would do it. Like if you're an idiot from the face of the earth who's never heard about it, like I think this had a lot of relatability to get started to understand what it's all about.
Right. If you're an idiot that has no idea what stocks are, go to the S&P. That's what I learned. Invest in the S&P, get 7% return on average to the end of time.
Yeah, and you're gonna find me all over the S&P, and I'm gonna be flexing that shit daily.
In that hat too, man. Looking good doing it.
I'm looking like a snack in this thing, dude. See this? This is my right here. This is my luck charm. All right, haven't lost a dime with this hat on.
Undefeated with that hat on.
They call me Decky Diamonds when I'm wearing this shit. Diamond hands, baby.
Oh, it's miraculous, dude. All right. The back end show. Should we just kind of do like an old format, or how do you want to close out this
Um,
episode?
I mean, we're still all recording on all fronts, right? So I feel like this is kind of the back end show. I also feel like we're in the meat of the back end show already, is what I'm saying.
Right. And I'm transitioning to how
To
we're going to
whatever
close
is
it out.
next. Right. Okay. Correct. I don't think we need to take much more time because our interview did go an hour. I think I think we tried to force an old format and then we basically looked into our instincts of being podcasters and being like curious. And there's no way you can have a 30-minute podcast with you and I. It's just not possible.
Just not possible. We just asked too many questions. And then when you got a guy like Devin who has a fucking story, all you have to do is sit back and listen. And you just want to continue to like ask another question and let him roll.
Yeah, who am I to cut him short? You know, that's a criminal offense in my book.
Right. If we were sitting in the studio, actually, that would have been 2.5 hours.
100%, 100%. And I think I don't know. In terms of the back end show, I mean, what kind of things you want to talk about, dude?
I really got nothing. I didn't know if you wanted to finish. I don't know if you want to finish with something. It's something you had in your sleeve. You know, Decky fucking roll up his sleeves and we got this comedy segment or something. I don't know.
No, but I think just us genuinely talking about how the episode went is kind of a fun little twist on the back end show, and I think that's kind of where we land. My comedy twist was me Decky Diamonds and having my this top hat. What is the name of this hat? Do you know?
I don't know. It's a Peaky Blinder hat. You're looking like a Peaky Blinder, dude. By order of the Peaky fucking Blinders.
Yeah, look, it's my Peaky Blinder hat. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I think we got to keep doing shit like this. I like the idea. It's kind of fun these last like 6 weeks. I feel like where we're kind of just playing with what kind of outcomes or what kind of podcasts we enjoy recording. So just keeping this up, it's just been a blast. So I would just say for anyone who made it to the back end show and gets to hear our genuine reflections on it, like thanks for being with us. We love you guys. We don't even know what we're gonna do next week. I'm excited to figure that out.
Yeah, let's talk about this after. We definitely got to plan out next Thursday. And you know, I do want to say, Declan, today is for the people listening, as it was released. Today is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. Decky's 25. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Hey, happy birthday, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I've officially entered the quarter life crisis after having my Jordan year and then having my Champ Bailey year. I'm now 25, and it is my Reggie Bush on the Saints year. And I'm excited to take it on full steam. I'm going to be making all sorts of good decisions with my life. As I understand, I am probably a quarter through it. I couldn't be happier. I don't have I have no qualms with my life. I have no issues with the things I'm doing in my life. And I am living motivated within the uncomfortable sphere in which I reside.
Fuck yeah, baby.
Can't complain. So
Can't complain.
I appreciate the thoughts and wishes, and appreciate anybody else who reaches out with birthday wishes. It's always super fun to just get super fun texts from random people you haven't caught up with in forever, wishing you happy birthday. So it's really not about the age; it's about the experience every year that I get once a year. So couldn't be happier, bro.
Cheers to that. I wish I could be there with you, but I might be planning a trip out for St. Patty's Day so that we can hit the links and celebrate accordingly.
Yeah, and hey, people forget your birthday is right around the corner when you get here.
Exactly, dude. A little 2-for-1.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll probably call it at that, man. That was a hell of a podcast. Devin freaking rocks. If you want to go follow him, Sixth Floor Trading, it's on Instagram. We'll tag it in the bio here. It'll be hyperlinked on the show notes. Lauren does a phenomenal job with that. And then the Date Night Podcast, if you want to sign up or get nominated, the link is in the show notes for that as well. We're just trying to really push that hard right now as we launch, and we just need to drive awareness, continue to drive the awareness. So, yeah, that's really all I got. I freaking love you guys. Andrew, you got anything else for us?
That's everything, man. date night podcast. I'm fired up about it. Next Bachelor here in Minneapolis. It is buzzing. That's the best part. Like people are talking about it and there's always a wide eye smile. Like, holy shit. Like this is a show. This is a performance. So get on that link in the show notes. And if there's any qualms, any curiosity, any thing that's going on with the back pocket that you're like, boys, you need to lock in here, boys. This is what's happening. You're missing out on this opportunity. Slide in the DMs, let us know. And also, if we're doing a good job, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, because we're trying to hit that 200 mark and we've been, just floating around it for too long.
I think we need to start some sort of competition, taking a little bit from Devin, is like how many creative ways can we bring up in the podcast that we should get a 5-star review. I think if we started doing that to some degree within the next couple podcasts, or just make that a staple of what we do going forward, I think that would only help. Road to 200. We need it.
Road to 200. We love you guys.
Take care.
Take care.